Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into the microphone. Why? Well, just because I can. Okay. I remember there's a sort of dark section ahead when you must illuminate the targets for Alex to shoot.
I can't see a thing. I'm blind as a bat without that flashlight on.
Okay, I'll disable it for a while too, because I don't think it actually...
We need to get through that door. Damn, it's got a powered lock. How are we gonna get this open? Let's see if we can find a power box.
It's really cool how the simplest tricks, instead of placing a glowing battery here, guides the player.
Stories about you and Erda.
Right.
Kleiner says whenever he locked himself out of his office, you and Barney used to compete to see who could get in fastest without
Not sure which is the proper way. I guess I'll find out soon enough. So this air duct is rather expensive actually. Okay, I'm on the other side of the door. Finally some other weapon. Although the gravity gun is probably the most fun weapon in the whole game anyway, so it's not like I'm complaining about having it. Okay. It's locked, but I think I can. And now I should be able to... Oh, can I actually power the... Right.
Nice job! Hey, and you found a gun!
Originally, the player couldn't operate the power boxes, and would have to wait for Alex to do it. We thought it'd be entertaining to watch Alex do some cool thing while you protected her. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Playtesters were more annoyed than entertained. The other problem was that having Alex committed to a particular activity while action was still going on in the world tended to quickly expose her most robotic tendencies. She'd either ignore what was going on, or completely stop whatever activity the player was waiting for her to finish. Either way, it was unconvincing and frustrating. What we learned here was that whenever Alex commits to some action in a dynamic environment, she needs to finish it quickly and move on.
Okay.
Before we armed players with traditional weapons, we wanted to give them a chance to appreciate Alex's combat abilities. Toward that goal, we created a very specific combat style for the early parts of the journey outside the Citadel. Dark, tense, surrounded by zombies, and either weaponless or starved for ammo. So the players needed to rely on the gravity gun, and more importantly, Alex. This is where players finally get a weapon. Since the door only opens when the padlock is shot, players can't proceed without finding the pistol. It's effectively a weapon gate. Once players are through the door, we can be sure they've got a pistol.
Now this is the part of the darkness, although I guess you can illuminate it by lighting the zombies on fire, which is kind of cruel, but...
The darkness in this area has a few real gameplay benefits. It slows the player down, which most of the time keeps Alex at your side. The claustrophobia, the close-in combat, and Alex's constant presence and reliance on your flashlight help enhance the tension and your sense of camaraderie. In the dark, the limited flashlight battery adds an extra layer of resource management to the tactics of combat.
Initially, the player wasn't going to have a weapon. The combination of no weapon and near total darkness forced the player to use the flashlight to direct. We like the idea of way using elements already built into the interface.
Oh, it's
Unfortunately, playtesters didn't like not having a weapon, so we added weapons back in. Luckily, it turned out that, even armed, players tended to still use and enjoy the flashlight mechanic.
it's really cool how she has a matched combat animation once they get into melee range. I didn't even remember that. It's a cool addition that makes her stand out from the other characters even more. Okay, it's getting a little... Yeah, better battery.
The Combine's defense field must have collapsed. Makes sense if it was powered by the Citadel. Looks like we found a troop train. What the hell is that? A Combine zombie. That's like a zombine, right? Zombine, get it? Okay.
Now the Combine, I mean the Zombines,
Look out!
are
It's
actually
got a grenade!
an interesting case because I don't think they really have a head. Like, you can see it if you glimpse the body correctly, that
If you don't like Alex, you're not going to have much fun with episode 1, so Alex being likable was one of our most crucial design goals. Little moments like the Zombine joke are designed to make Alex more endearing. Since we like to multitask, it also had the practical purpose of introducing a new monster. The success of the scene relied on a combination of dialogue, voice acting, and animation. Surprisingly, lighting was really important too. Under red light, Alex's self-deprecating groan looked more like she was sneering at the player for not getting the joke. Changing the lighting to blue and then adjusting the direction of the light so that it changed the shadows on her face fixed the problem.
that's a very interesting detail actually.
It's important that monsters get very deliberate introductions, since players are going to interact with them a lot. Generally, we let the player first see a new monster in a safe environment, so they can
As you
start
can
thinking
see,
about it before they have to fight.
He literally doesn't have a head, so I'm not sure how the headcrab possession sort of even takes place, because obviously it's supposed to be a head crab and not a neck crab or anything, but it's basically like this is his lower jaw, I guess. So he's missing his whole head, and despite that, the zombification sort of still takes place, which is kind of weird.
The soundtrack here was created for the introduction of a new adversary, the Combine Zombie, or Zombine. Rhythmic guitar tones and bends, and a lo-fi fast beat work in the background of this encounter to create an off-balance and disturbing mood.
Wow, that was pretty cool of you, Alex. Okay, that's notice.
We always try to exploit a feature as much as possible throughout a game. For instance, these flares. They're an exploration reward. They've got a simple, satisfying interaction with gravity gun, and they're a good tactical alternative to the flashlight. They're a weapon that can be zombies, good and bad in the environment.
I'm actually wondering if she can die, but I really don't think so, because that would be mightily annoying. Alternatively, she can have a really large health pool or
For
something.
episode 1, we implemented a scripting component called the response rules system for dynamically managing NPC speech. We wanted to take NPC speech out of the hands of the programmers and let the writers control it. The writers were able to set up a wide range of situationally triggered character responses. For instance, Alex has different reactions to different enemies, can warn the player of danger, calls for help when she's mobbed, and will ask for light. The combat responses worked out great. But it's especially satisfying when Alex's comments on some situation mirror his thoughts. The writers really want to make this, so be on the lookout for lots of little Easter egg responses to unusual situations.
Okay. It's weird not having a crowbar in a Half-Life game. Where now? This only enables the slide here, I guess. Okay, it was. Ah, right. It also opened this door because it has been locked electronically. It's good that the poisoned headcrab has a distinct sound because it kind of warns you about its presence. I wonder if they will mention it.
Poison headcrabs
Yeah.
are ideal for ambushes because they startle you but can't actually kill you. Here, after a series of right-hand turns, you round a corner into a dead end. While you're cracking open a box of goodies, you're ambushed by poison headcrab. Constructing the ambush this way increased the odds that you wouldn't see the crab, but you would hear it just in time to turn around as it leapt at your head.
Okay.
I hate these things.
Yeah, me too. Out of all the headcrabs, they're probably the most annoying. Although as far as zombies go, the fast zombies are probably the most sort of startling.
The antlion hole training is unusual because it requires the player to learn a new skill in combat. This is a rare case where training occurs under duress, so Alex states the problem and helps in the fight without giving away the solution.
Okay, I need to cover the spawning hole with a car.
Hey, you with me? Good idea, Gordon. Wow, I wouldn't have thought you could plug up the burrow.
Okay, that was actually a little dangerous. Fortunately, they both missed me with their jumps somehow.
Keep that barnacle in your life.
An explosive barrel would be nice. I wonder if the zombie can get trapped. Okay, that was unfortunate. Yeah, they can. And they actually... Yeah, the barnacles are really dangerous when they are so close to the ceiling because it leaves you with a small time frame to respond once they grab you. Actually pretty satisfying to watch her fight in close combat.
You fight alongside Alex for much of episode 1, so her combat really needed to look varied and exciting. We especially wanted to get her into some kind of convincing physical contact with her enemies. We'd always wanted to do this kind of dynamic character interactions, but getting the NPCs into position for their interactions has a pretty wide-ranging set of problems. So we ended up taking an opportunistic approach for Episode 1, where instead of figuring out how to maneuver characters into proximity, the system monitors their positions and fires the appropriate animations whenever it notices that they're correctly aligned. Given how well these interactions worked out between Alex and zombies, headcrabs and antlions, we're really looking forward to extending this kind of behavior to all of our NPCs.
I don't know if that ever happened actually in episode 2. I don't think so. I think only Alex has such a diverse range of
I'll follow you.
animations and responses.
Light 'em up!
Okay, that may have been unwise to... Oh, it's really cool how she even dodges some of the attacks. They've really done a good job on her as a character. Okay, I think I will need to plug the...
This 3-level parking garage is where the antlion burrow training pays off. Because we taught the player the burrow blocking mechanic earlier in a less hectic environment, the problem here becomes not what to do with the burrows, but where to find the cars to block them while fighting off a horde of antlions. The burrows themselves went through several iterations. At first, playtesters had a hard time seeing them, and once they'd push a car onto one, they often weren't sure if the hole was actually sealed. We eventually solved both of these problems by adding a particle effect to the burrows. This effect makes them recognizable even at a distance, and its absence is a clear indication that the burrow is blocked.
Okay.
I can get a better shot from knocking on the door.
Okay, and there is one here as well.
We generally design and prototype the basic gameplay in a level before we apply much art to it. Throughout the first several months of playtesting the garage map, the geometry was nothing more than basic shapes and textures. After we finalized most of the gameplay elements, we began to flesh out the visuals for it. For this level, we left the office and took reference pictures of various garages. From these shots, we pulled out everything we liked and that we thought we could pull off well. We combined these visual highlights into what we call a style guide map, which is a standalone map with no gameplay that we use strictly as visual reference. For this level, we actually made 2 style guides, one a destroyed garage, the other intact. After the look was established, we brought the playable map's visual quality up to the level of the style guide. Often a map's geometry needs to be changed as the art goes in because areas that worked in the abstract version no longer make sense in a map that now looks like a real place. For instance, the side rooms where 2 of the cars are hidden were moved several times in order to make them feel more naturally part of the parking garage.
Okay, there's... I don't think I need to go there yet. I'll try to solve the car problem first before... Although I'm pretty sure it won't let me proceed further without doing that. Maybe it would, I'm not sure. In any case, I'd like to... Oh, I wasn't expecting you to get on. I'm wondering if... unfortunate. Yeah, pretty great, of course. Now I'm actually wondering if plugging all the holes in the unlined barrels is actually required. I would guess so, but maybe not. Because there was also this room with the electrified water, which seemed like an obvious. As you can see, they literally have no head, so I have no idea how the quote-unquote zombification process is even taking place. And so I guess the plugging the nests wasn't really necessary. And this is an interesting poster. I'm not sure what it's supposed to show. Also like an antlion sticker. Kind of weird. Okay, so let me proceed into the room with the water, which was somewhere around here. Oh, it isn't actually electrified.
You're lucky you've got that hazard suit. This water's nasty. Got room for two in there?
I wonder if that was a flirting attempt. Okay. Okay, that was not the best. I handled all of this kind of poorly, but at least I'm still alive, which
Please let there be a way to the surface.
Episode 1 is our first project to use HDR lighting heavily in dark indoor environments. The interaction between the flashlight and the auto exposure calculations done for HDR presented a real technical challenge. In dark areas where the flashlight was the only source of illumination, we found that we'd often end up with grossly overexposed views. We ended up compensating for this by using a different set of exposure parameters when the flashlight was turned on. In particular, we drastically shrunk the region of the screen examined for exposure calculations, which permitted us to concentrate only on the much smaller areas lit by the flashlight.
where you have to defend against hordes of zombies.
Connected to a power supply.
But it seems I also have to jumpstart the elevator first.
This area is the dramatic culmination of all the lightless combat that comes before it. We wanted to create a dynamic fight that lasted several minutes while you waited for the elevator to
Light
arrive.
that thing up!
The first iteration of this battle was very different from what we eventually shipped. The space was larger, had water in it, and wasn't completely dark. Water is relatively expensive performance-wise, so we cut that in favor
Okay, I
of
need
more
to go
zombies.
there.
We made the level smaller to ensure that the
Let's
player
check
would
out
see
where
the
that
elevator
spark
and recognize the problem that needed to be solved before the fight started. We killed the lights both to enhance tension and to make the scene a final test of the dark fighting skills that the player develops over the course of the episode. Finally, we added a wire running along the ceiling from the elevator to the power box to give players a guide as they familiarize themselves with the area.
Okay. Yeah, I really think she's immortal.
Our art and gameplay standards encourage players to build a visual dictionary that defines how they expect things to work in the Half-Life world. For instance, even though the floor of the power box room is metal, and would probably have a metal crossbar holding it shut, we barred it with a wooden plank. Because we've been consistent throughout the game, the player should recognize that a wooden plank can be both broken and manipulated with a gravity gun. Properties that wouldn't be immediately apparent about a metal bar.
We're really happy with the Zombines community. It has sudden danger spikes in zombies. Players can quickly prioritize the targets. And since the player can grab a grenade out of the Zombine scene with gravity, his danger spikes can be converted into offensive opportunities. This kind of turnaround skill shot creates some dynamic, satisfying hero moments for the player. Originally, we didn't allow the player to snatch Zombine grenades because we barely broke the fiction of the gravity gun. If players could grab a Zombine's grenade, why couldn't they grab the Combine soldiers' guns? After playtesting the grenade still though,
alright, okay, this is the power box.
Hey, I hear the elevator. It's moving again.
Yeah, now the fast zombies can come.
Oh, and here comes trouble.
In early versions of the episode, Alex was much more vocal about giving the player hints. However, playtest shows it was much more satisfying for the players when Alex stated a goal and then stepped aside and let that goal. Because of that feedback, almost all of Alex's Thankfully, I discovered from more playtests that although players didn't like having Alex hand them unsolicited hints, they did want to be able to explicitly request help from her. So we added some of the hint dialogue back in, but it's only accessible at the player's request by plus using Alex.
Oh, that's
we learned these hints late in the development cycle.
really cool. I probably wouldn't even think about, you know, quote unquote using her with the use key to get some advice. Okay, that was not good.
What's taking so long?
Okay, that didn't
Hey, I hear the elevator. It's moving again.
didn't work well. Where is she? Okay, she's here.
Keep your light on it.
You really think she herself can't die, which at least makes it a little easier. I will save during this, just in case I die again. I wonder if she has any special matched animation with that. Okay, I will save, although I lost some health in pretty stupid ways. I guess we'll see if she survives that. She's pretty much immortal. Okay, but the elevator...
What's taking so long?
I must say, the darkness mechanic is sort of overstayed its welcome, for me at least. I'm a little... I'm a little tired of it by this point. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do actually. might work.
What's taking so
I
long?
want this flare basically, because it will not only light them on fire, but also illuminate the area, which is sort of doubly useful.
Zombie queue right there. Anytime now. Nice fun. It's here.
Why don't they have the... Okay, let's get into the elevator.
Let's get out of here. Phew. That was close. Oh my god. I hope it's still light out. Thank God, it's still day. Let's get out of here. Oh God, no. No, it's locked. I can't believe this. Hey, up there! Hello? Can you let us out of here? Hello?
Yeah, they can actually switch
They can't hear us, I guess.
the valve from here. But first I will use it to open this gate because it has
Any way to get this open?
a lot of goodies. Oh, I can't switch it, but there is an additional one here. At least I don't think. Yeah, I can't detach it. I wonder if she'll give me additional...
See if the crank still works.
No, I wanted to see if she gives me additional hints if I click on her. But in any case, this is actually a pretty good moment to end the episode, so let me save and see you in the next one. Bye.